All right, hey guys, and welcome to another film review. This one is The Lost City. So, yeah, I recently watched this. It was hilarious, but nowhere near as good as comedy films, in the past. It was nice to see Channing Tatum and Sandra Bullock both on the screens once again. After a really long time, I've not watched any films of theirs for quite a bit, I believe. And Daniel Radcliffe too. I think the last film I watched of Daniel Radcliffe was him having two guns bolted to his hands, Guns Akimbo, which was a pretty amazing film. I really liked that. And Yeah, he is truly he can be quite intense. Like he really has this very intense look. Like look at this poster, right? Yeah, that's his intensity throughout this film. Really intense, really scary character. He's actually the villain of this film. So the two protagonists are played by Sandra Bullock and Channing Tatum, and they are basically just trying to survive this jungle sort of story that they're thrown into. So Sandra Bullock is an author some sort of a Indiana Jones mystery story, and Channing Tatum is sort of just her poster guy. He's actually some sort of an amateur model that she picks up just to be on the cover of her book, just to give the readers some sort of imagination of a really hot guy. So her story is very lean towards sex and love, and it's supposed to be some love story sort of what do you call this, love and sex story basically of these this two love interests in some kind of a nature or jungle environment. And so she actually gets kidnapped by Daniel Radcliffe, who's playing Abigail Fairfax, and he actually wants Loretta Sage to help him translate some kind of ancient writing, because apparently, although she is realistically an author, she did have a past of actually believing that this ancient civilization is real, and she was actually looking for it at some point. So he believes that although she is an author, she still has the needed capacity to translate what he wants and try to find this lost city that they are looking for. And Channing Tatum, who is Alan, ends up just going after Loretta Sage because he wants, because she sort of ditches him. She tells him, "I don't need you anymore as my poster guy," and he fears to lose his place in the world as this celebrity who became a celebrity because of her book. So he goes after her to try to rescue her. And Brad Pitt comes along as Jack Trainer. Brad Pitt actually has a cameo in this film. He doesn't really have a big role. He shows up for about 15 to 20 minutes. Actually, no, 10 to 15 minutes. A decent part of the film, though. But he shows up to be some sort of a super expert rescuer, and we get a very nice, sort of, comedy plus action kind of sequence. You get some satire comedy here and there between him and Channing Tatum. Really nice to see all of these characters on screen. They are all brilliant actors, but the script really falls short. There's really not too much depth to it. There's really nothing that interesting about the adventure or the where they travel to. Everything in the background looks the same for the most part. It's just jungle, jungle, jungle. Nothing too interesting to look at until they do arrive at the ruins of the lost city towards the very end. Even then, solving the mystery didn't take them more than 5 minutes. There's not really too much effort put by the characters. It's just like, oh, I gotta figure it out, I gotta figure it out, I gotta figure it out, and then, oh, I figured it out, and that's it. We don't really go through the process of them trying to figure it out. We don't really understand what it is that they really do besides just reading a bunch of letters and trying to translate them. And then all of a sudden, it seems like they can figure things out. Only one part in the film actually was interesting, which is uh, when Sandra Bullock really couldn't figure out a certain part of the message, and they had to go to a point where they were almost giving up, and they were just dancing along with the locals in the city, trying to appreciate whatever few moments they may have before Fairfax comes to shoot them down. But turns out that in that little subtle moment that they were having with the locals, one of the locals actually sang a song that ended with lyrics that gave Loretta Sage information about what she was trying to translate. Although I believe that lyrics actually didn't need to come in because what she translated already made sense to me. But I give the benefit of the doubt to say that she really needed to hear the lyrics from the locals to understand that. So there is a local lore or mystery about this place, and that gave the song gave her a better picture of the fact that there is some sort of a trench in a cave somewhere along the island where they gotta go and discover this lost city. So they finally do find the lost city, and it's basically just a giant cavern in the middle of the island, which is really strange that people can't really spot it from the sky. Like if you fly by helicopter, you would be able to see it because that's how much of an open trench it is. When how they entered it is through like some cave around the island. But once they enter into that lost city, the top of it is open to the sky. You can see all the way up to the sky, which means that it's just a giant, like pothole, sinkhole, giant sinkhole in the ground, not pothole. But yeah, it's just a giant sinkhole in the ground that would be able to be spotted from the sky, which it reminds me of that what's that Uncharted. Uncharted had a similar kind of scenario where the hidden city or whatever they were looking for was also in a giant sinkhole in the ground, and they pulled the two ships basically out of there. And similarly, this one too was in a giant sinkhole in the ground. And I don't know, it just seems like an excuse for films to have a place where they can bring in sunlight. But I'm sure nothing like that would stay hidden. If there is a giant sinkhole in the ground, I'm sure people would have spotted it from the sky. It's more so a question of whether they're able to approach it because the locals may be defending it, or maybe the reserve forest administration may be defending it. It's usually those sorts of scenarios. It's rarely that the locals would not have explored a sinkhole that is available to them. I'm sure they are far more daring than outsiders. So yeah, it is what it is. I think it had some really funny moments, but also a lot of the general comedy just fell short. There was no real wow moment. We do get Channing Tatum's ass in some scenes, as he would want to generously portray in every one of his movies. But other than that, Sandra Bullock didn't really do anything. She was just there, here and there, giving a poker face for the most part. That's generally her look for the rest of that's basically what she looks like almost in every scene in the film. There's no real intensity or action or drama that makes you go wow. For a film that's action adventure comedy, there's no real wow action, wow adventure, or even wow comedy. There's just like some or ah moments because you're just like looking at Channing Tatum's ass covered by leeches, or you are impressed with Daniel Radcliffe's villain who is coming after you, or Brad Pitt's cameo hero who does some pretty amazing stuff. I wish Channing Tatum could sort of learn some, like Alan would have learned certain things from Jack Trainer that he would use for a later part of the film. Nothing like that really happened. They had another side character called Beth Haddon, and she's supposed to be the second rescuer because Jack Trainer actually gets killed. Spoiler. He actually gets killed as he's trying to rescue Loretta Sage. So he only lasts for about 10 minutes of the film. The rest of it has to be carried out by Alan and Loretta Sage because they actually get to live the real adventure that she was writing about in the book in real life, and so that's what motivates them. And Beth Haddon tries to come and be the second rescuer, and there's really nothing interesting about that. She also gets some sort of a secondary love interest with a secondary side story that's absolutely unnecessary. So a lot of things are just peppered here and there just to try to pretend to be something more. But no, the film just fails to deliver in all sense. So anyway, here's my rating of the film. Let me pull it up for you. I think it's a fair rating. Yeah, I think it's fair. Anyway, it's gonna be a 3 out of 10 for me. You really don't get much out of this. It's not really that impressive of a film. It's really not something that like once again, I think the best recent jungle film is probably the Jumanji movies. Um, and yeah, you could just rewatch any of the previous Indiana Jones if you really want a proper adventure, treasure hunting, that sort of story. I think even National Treasure stands out to be a better film. So yeah, this one will be forgotten. Like the reason we remember National Treasure and Indiana Jones is because they're just iconic. They're really good. They capture a lot of vital moments, moments that we really look for in what do you call these sort of treasure hunting films. And so yeah, it's just really sad that they had another chance to do a movie that may have been really good, especially with these amazing actors, but they didn't really utilize them well enough. As I said, they didn't use the jungle well enough. They didn't give very interesting ruins or anything like that to look at. And the film also ends in a very poor ending, where basically, or rather, it's a kind of a twisted ending. Basically, in the end, they do discover the city, but they find out there's no real treasure because the treasure that was depicted by the king was actually his love interest or her love interest or something like that. And it's basically they find two bones or two skeletons left in a sort of a tomb, hugging each other, and they said that was their treasure, basically their love. And that's it. That's what the film was all about. There's really nothing too amazing. Uncharted was definitely better than this, but Uncharted was not as funny as this. This is, more of a comedy film. Uncharted was supposed to be more of a serious action film, but didn't really live up to that standards. This one did live up to the standards of a comedy film, but a lot of it was not really that funny. So yeah, that's about it. But I would like to see all these characters respectively in better films in the future because they're all still I mean, these actors, yeah, they're all still great, really good actors. I have to say, it's really nice to see all of them in screen, doing their own thing. I just wish the script actually was written a lot better, had some better dialogues, had some better moments. Like all these moments they had in the plane between this extra love interest for this extra side character, I mean, it amounts to nothing. It is an absolute waste of time. And a lot of the important parts are Channing Tatum and Sandra Bullock in this forest or jungle trying to survive. And that's what's important. This scene where Brad Pitt comes to rescue her all ends within 5 to 10 minutes, and that's about it. Um, so yeah, don't expect too much when you're going to watch this. It's really, really bad for me. I'm going to leave it at a 3 out of 10. Let me know what you guys think. Let me know if you guys did watch this. I have not watched it yet. But if you ask me whether it's a weekend watch, I'd say yeah, sure, why not? Maybe a weekend watch. But once again, there are better films out there that have already done this twice over and way, way better. So yeah, that's it from me for this one. I'll see you guys in the next. Take care, guys.